Hey there. Thanks for tuning in. You ready for another episode of My Bigfoot Sighting? Alright then, let's do this.
Seen a bunch of run-down no-horse towns where the church is the backbone, love's in the plow, and the five-string melodies grooving, with the farmland rows where the roots run deep, beyond the noise of the busy streets, where the songs of the South are soothing. When I hear the front porch picking down, home rhythm ringing out, I don't run from banjo music. Yeah.
If you've had a Bigfoot sighting and would like to be a guest, please go to mybigfootsighting.com and let me know.
Hey y'all, it's Kenny Busby again. My Bigfoot sightings have all come from the Ozarks of Arkansas, the beautiful Ozarks of Arkansas. And it is beautiful. I don't know if any of y'all have been around here or not. And I know some of you, from the last episode I did, I've already been on here a couple of times, and a lot of y'all might remember me. I know at least some of y'all will remember me, and the ones that doesn't hear it right away, I hope you look through and find, the ones that did like hearing me ramble. So anyway, but got a lot of interesting experiences today. And first off, I want to thank you and everybody, and had a lot of comments on the last episode and the episode before that. I've been on twice, if you remember, and I've always had fun doing this because I get to ramble. And as I always told you, I'm a rambler, and I'll tell you that every time. But I get to the point and the really cool experiences, and I'm glad y'all like them, and I appreciate all the kind comments. I really do. I do mean that from my heart, and not a lot of ridicule, so that's a good thing. And that's kind of unbelievable about this subject nowadays. So, and I think y'all already probably know that. So, but anyway, I've got 4 experiences that I know I'm going to talk about that's just happened here recently. I'm talking real recently. I'll probably throw a couple of the other experiences in from my other family. Just to remind you, I have 2 families of Bigfoot, and they're both large families. And I haven't got a chance to meet all of this family that I live around right now, but the other one, if you remember, I nickname all of them. I'm just going to remind y'all of a few things that hasn't heard me before. But one family we don't nickname them unless we see them, an actual sighting of them. Now, the other family, my first family, I call it, we nicknamed 13 of them, 13 separate beings. And anyway, we give them all nicknames, and there's actually 14 there's one that we didn't name because she gave us her real name, and her name is Mantiwa. And so she's really a beautiful Bigfoot. She's a beautiful mama. Her newborn baby that we call Mary Jane was born a little bit over a year ago now. So she's climbing her trees right now. They all climb trees. I went over that last time. All the kids that we've ever met, and there's been quite a few of them, that was born after we knew them. And they all, as kids, they loved to climb trees. They just loved climbing trees. Matter of fact, went over one experience with Archie. He's a little pest. He's growing up now, but he'll be 3, as a matter of fact, October the 1st. And that's Sissy and Junior's son. But he's a tree climber, and man, that you can go back and listen on the last episode if you want to about that, where I encouraged him to disobey his daddy, which I got in very bad trouble for. As a matter of fact, it was the most scared I've ever been in Bigfoot experience, and I don't get scared too often, I promise you. So anyway, y'all can go back and listen to that experience. And I did kind of go back over some of the last couple of episodes, so I'm trying not to repeat an experience, because if you remember, all these, I don't plan anything. I hardly plan anything when I do these podcasts. I mean, it's off the top of my head. I'll just be talking like I am right now, rambling, and it'll remind me of another experience that I hadn't thought about in a while. So I'll go into that one, and then I go back to the other one that I started talking about. So as I mentioned before, if y'all can get through that, I think you'll at least enjoy the show anyway. And I hope y'all do enjoy the show. And again, appreciate all the great comments and nice comments on it. But what I'm going to do is I went back and read the comments, and y'all had some questions, and I always love to answer questions because I always encourage people to ask questions. So one of the questions was, how do you have time to do this? Well, it's real simple. I work from home for one thing, and they're close by. So I don't go searching through the woods. I don't have to do any of that. They come see me. So, and that's a good thing. You know, have I went through the woods before? Yes, obviously I have, but there's no use in it. Those people, and I've made this opinion known before quite a few times, I don't understand why people walks through the woods 10 miles in the middle of the night, making knocks and sounds and stuff like that. That makes no sense to me at all. With a big lights and the cameras and all this stuff, and they wonder why they never are successful at it. I just have to laugh at that every time. I can't even. I stopped watching any Bigfoot show. They're all just ridiculously stupid to me. Yeah, I'm just a blunt guy, but that's just the way I see it. And they wonder why they're not successful. I wonder why. But as I tell everybody, you don't find Bigfoot to begin with. He finds you. They don't show themselves to everybody. They never have, and they never will. It's just your mindset. They can read you. It's kind of like the aura they get off of you. And I don't never understand why people want to go looking for them at night anyway. That don't make much sense either. But anyway, let them do their thing. I'll do mine. But anyway, to answer your question, no, I'm not a farmer. I get to work from home. My second family's right here near me. I can still talk or mind speak to the other family, which is a ways away from me now. And of course, Junior. And that just reminded me of the goose story. So I'm going to talk about that today. Anyway, that's how I have time to do it, because I don't have to take a lot of time to do it. I can go out and sit right back by my fence, out there at the back, right by the woods, and he comes up to me. They come up to me, and we can talk. They can talk English. Sometimes they talk English. It's usually broken English, as I've told y'all quite a few times, and they do that gibberish, their talk. I just call it gibberish because I can get the gist of it. I can't understand all of it, but I can understand what they mean. I can't understand every word. And I couldn't even, there's no way I can hardly explain their words because they're not even words to me. Anyway. But they mind speak to you as well once you get that ability, and they let you have that ability to do it with them. But no, that's how I have time to do this. They come to me. I don't go to them. I don't go walking 10 miles through the forest all the time. So that answers that question. How do they learn English? Okay. Well, they learn English from hanging around you, hanging around me. Because a lot of times when you're in the woods, when you're fishing, or a couple of you go fishing, or You go hunting, they're around and you don't even know it. So they hear you talk and speak English. And after they hear that, a certain amount of time, they catch on to that and they mimic. They're mimickers, very good mimickers. They can mimic any sound and any animal in the forest. They really can. I've heard them sound like owls. I've heard them sound like dogs. I've heard them sound like coyotes. I've heard them sound like bear. There's all sorts of sounds, that they sound like. I mean, it's they can, and they mimic you. There's a couple. Jeju mimics me, and of course, I'll be talking a lot about him today. And Junior mimics me, and they mimic my laugh when they laugh at me. Junior is notorious for pulling pranks on me all the time. Jeju's, I call him like a little Junior almost, even though they're from separate families, but they kind of have the same mindset and the same personalities. They like to joke with you after they get to know you, which is really fun. But I'm always on the butt end of the joke. That's the only bad part for me. But anyway, that's what makes it really bad is when they pull a joke on you and then they laugh at you in your own laugh. What's up with that? But it is funny, after a little while. But that's how they learn English. Going back to that, they hang around you. Even when you don't even know they're there, because when you enter their territory, I'm telling you, they know you're there. You may not know they're there, but they know you're there. Anytime you get even close to their territory, they know where you're going before you even go. I'm just telling you, that's the truth. All right. One guy was from Rogers, Arkansas. All right. How close am I from Rogers, Arkansas? Now, y'all know I'll never, ever, ever give up my exact location. Never. I usually say the Ozarks from Arkansas, as you know, but my first family is closer than my second family to Rogers. I'll put it that way. And my first family, I'd say I'll just say 75 miles probably to 100 miles from Rogers, Arkansas. And that's as far as I'll go with that. My second family is probably about 125 miles from Rogers, Arkansas, if that makes any sense. So I'm in the Ozarks, in other words. Both families are in the Ozarks. All right. Well, one guy said this is just a statement, wasn't really a question. He had seen 11 Bigfoots in Arkansas, and that doesn't surprise me a bit. And like I said, they only show themselves to certain people. So, I mean, he must be one of those people. If he's seen 11 of them, he's definitely an empath, most likely. And he has the right attitude. And that's just the way that is. And I'm glad that you've got to see 11 Bigfoots. I've seen, well, as you know, a lot of Bigfoots, more than 11, but 11 is awesome, man. Not many people get to see 11 Bigfoots. So not many people get to see as many as I do. And I feel very fortunate. I'm very humble about that. As you know, I'm just very humble. Okay, let's go on. Oh, the intro song. Yes, I also love the intro song. Vic done a really good job at picking that out. I don't run from banjo music. So I love banjo music. I really do. I love all types of music, though. So anyway, the intro song is really cool. Vic done a great job at picking that out. All right. We have a pregnancy question. Do the females get as big as humans? I guess what she was asking was, do they show as much, as humans do when we get or females get pregnant? And yes, they do. I mean, as you know, some of our women, some of them show more than others, obviously. And it's the same way in the Bigfoot world. Some of them show more than others. I had a cousin one time, as a matter of fact, she didn't even know she was pregnant until she was 7 months pregnant. And she went for a checkup at the doctor. She didn't even hardly show at all. She just thought she was gaining a little weight. So, I mean, and that was at 7 months, believe it or not. So, yeah, about the same way as us humans, about the exact same way. Some of them show more than others, but yes, they do show. There's no doubt about that. All righty here. Couple more here before I get started. And I've already went over the trail camera thing. I don't do trail cameras. It's all about trust and respect. I've preached that, and preached that to everybody that's ever asked me any questions. And I just feel trail cameras, you set up a gifting spot, and that's supposed to be one of their sacred places and I'm telling you, once you set up a gifting spot, there's no other animal that will come within 50 foot of it. They won't. And I know, and I got proof of that. But see what I was getting at though, trail cameras, what you do, that's a sacred spot just for you and that family, and you and that family only. Now, what they're going to think, what if I went in there at that gifting spot and all of a sudden I tried to hide a trail camera from them? Do you think that's trust and respect? Well, of course not. You're trying to hide something. You're trying to do something. You're trying to sneak something in there on them. That's not trust, and that's not respect, in my opinion. But anyway, that's enough about the trail cameras. As you know, I just don't like them. Now, like I said, I don't dislike people that use them. That's just their prerogative. And going back to the pregnancy thing, I really, really have some sad news for everybody. If you remember, Sissy, Junior's wife, who has the son named Archie that I've talked about quite a bit, she was pregnant again. Last time I was on here, I announced that she was pregnant. And here about a month ago, she had a miscarriage, unfortunately. And made me really sad, and it made Junior really, really sad, obviously, and it made the whole family really, really sad. And we had already nicknamed him and everything, so it was really sad for me and Vicky, my ex-wife. You know, she knows that family. She doesn't know the second family that I have, though, but she knows the first family just as well as I do. So she was real sad. It made the whole Bigfoot family sad too, obviously. So I hate to give you all that news, but it is what it is, and gotta move on with life, I guess. So, yeah, it did make us all sad. Okay. One guy said, I sound like a redneck Carl Sagan. Now, I don't know who Carl Sagan is. Never heard of the man. I never did even look him up. I was going to look him up. I was going to Google his name, but I never did. So I don't know, sir, who Carl Sagan is, but if you say so, I guess so. Yeah, I do sound like I got that southern drawl. There's no doubt about that. Matter of fact, I was just telling Vic just a minute ago, I don't even like listening to myself. I can't hardly listen to my podcast again because I don't know. I don't like listening to myself, but I don't know why that is, but it's just the way it is. Okay. I'm about done with the questions here. I need to get on into the experiences, but why didn't I take the deer? Remember, she was referring, when they started gifting us back at the gifting spot, they started gifting us deer. Well, every time they gifted us a deer, especially the 3 intact deer that they didn't rip in half or that sort of thing, they left 3 whole deer there for us. And matter of fact, I did get pictures of all of them. I did post one on the internet. You could probably go look that up if you wanted to. But that deer didn't have a all it did was, that's how Bigfoot, I went over that in the experience, but all they do is break its leg and break its neck, and then they leave it there intact. There was no animal bites in it. There was no gunshot wound on it. There was no arrow wound in it. There was nothing. It just looked like a healthy deer, except with his leg and his neck broke. But anyway, why we didn't eat the deer or take the deer and eat the deer is because sometimes it was 3, 4, 5 days before we'd go back down there. You know, we didn't go down there every day. And the deer just, I mean, here in Arkansas, it gets real warm, you know, even in the wintertime when we have temperatures in the 70s, sometimes 60s, 70s, you know, and it just wasn't good to eat. I mean, that's a simple answer to that question. It was just not good to eat. It was too warm, you know, so I felt bad for not taking it, but heck, I couldn't have done nothing with it. And I knew they'd come back and get it to eat it, you know, which they did. And anyway, I have to tell you this. I had a dream the other night that me and somebody, and here's the problem with this dream is I don't know who that somebody is, but we were looking for stuff, or we were doing something in I think it was the backyard here, and it was a dream. And somebody picks, I don't know who that person was. I wish I did. Somebody picked, he goes, man, look at this. And I said, that's Archie. Give me that. That's mine. And I don't even know who it was. The dream cut off the face of who found Archie. And when I say Archie and Sissy had, I told y'all about this in one of the other episodes. I can't remember if it was the first or the second. I think I went over it in both of them, though. But Archie was a little whatnot kind of thing, a gift that they brought back to me. And I found it right in the middle of a Sissy track, one of her footprints. And Archie had his little track, you know, right there beside it. And I picked it up, and I lost him. Just to make a long story short, I picked him up, and man, I carried that little sucker everywhere I went. Everywhere I went. I didn't go nowhere without it. I put him in my pocket every time, but I had lost him, and I still hadn't found him. But that's why I wanted to tell you about the dream. I had a dream that we found it. But anyway, so I'm going to go out and look in the yard again all over and see if I can find him. Maybe that was a premonition that I need to do that. And then a lot of y'all said I could listen to him all day. Now, I don't know how you can do that. I can't even listen to myself all day. So, but I'm glad that y'all enjoy it, though. And that's all that matters. That's all that matters. I'm going to tell you this one first. Something happened kind of weird not too long ago. And I guess, now the shop is not too far from where I sit at, back by the fence where Jeju always and JC comes by and sees me at. You know, they have the 2 trees that I've told you all about that, you know, they stand beside. Usually it's about 15 foot from where I sit at. Yeah, that's that close. And one of the experiences today, there's some good experiences today. And I wrote them down because I don't want to forget about telling you those. But anyway, we had left the shop door open, or the shed door open one day, and we were all gone, and we had come back, and I guess they had gotten one of the bottles of spray paint. It was white spray paint, and I guess they got it on their fingers, and they wrote my name, Keny. Well, he or she left an N out, and you could tell it was wrote by a finger. So they got the paint on their fingers, and they wrote my name, and they had started about halfway over on the door. So I guess that's why they only put one N in there. I don't know. But they left it in out. Keny. And it was spelled right. I mean, they can spell English too. Well, they left the N out, but still, that's pretty amazing, though. And then they put a J and then like a cross, and then on the top, and then an S. What that meant, I don't know. Could it mean Jeju and some other, like another sister he's got here? I thought about maybe Junior and Sissy, but they're in my other family. They're quite a few miles away in the other family, but could it have meant Junior and Sissy? I don't know. I don't know. And then they wrote some like graffiti on there too. I took pictures of it. It's still on the door out there, matter of fact. But anyway, I thought that was kind of weird. I never had one do that to me before. I've had them do a whole lot of other stuff to me, that's for sure, but never nothing like that. But anyway, let me get to this goose experience before I forget about it. I was going to tell it, I think, last time or the time before, but now this is the Junior story from my first family. There's this story. It's an experience too, but my granny. Now, see, I had the privilege when I was growing up. You know, I lived. My granny only lived like I think it's about 100 yards from where we lived at on the farm. So, I mean, I had the privilege of living really, really close to my granny and my papa, you know. And matter of fact, I mean, I love my granny. I loved her with all my heart, obviously, and my papa too. But I stayed over at my granny's house more than I stayed at my house, to be honest with you. And I went over to Granny's house so much, back and forth, back and forth. I had a path. I mean, it didn't even have no grass on it. I went over there so much. But I'm being honest. There was nothing. There was no grass at all. That's how much I went back and forth. And anyways, but Granny, she had all types of animals. I mean, all types of chickens. Any type of chicken you could think of, she had it. I mean, she had weird looking ones too. I've never even seen before, but they were really cool. The chickens were. But anyway, I had to go out and, you know, when I stayed over at Granny's, and I had to go, you know, gather the eggs, and you don't want to gather eggs under a hen that's setting. Man, I hated that part of it. But anyway, but Granny was an infant. I mean, all of her animals loved her to death. She had peacocks, she had turkeys, she had, oh, by the way, did you know a turkey so stupid, especially when they're humanized or something, whatever word that is. I've seen turkeys at ice storms just set out on a fence and freeze to death. They just fall over on the ground dead because they were too stupid to go inside. Yeah, I'm just throwing that in there. Ain't got nothing to do with my experience. But anyway. But every time I go over to Granny, she had this one goose. I hated this goose. I had to try to sneak over there. Just sneak. And this goose, I got through a couple of times, but this goose would stick his head down straight out and he would chase me. And every once in a while, and I'd have to kick him in the head sometimes. I tried not to kick him too hard because if I killed him, Granny would kill me. But anyway, he bit me a couple of times, and it ain't no fun to be bitten by a goose. I promise you that. But anyway, yeah, I had this ongoing experience with this stupid goose. And so I'd tell that story, you know, that experience. That's still an experience in itself. And I'd tell it to my ex-wife, and she loved hearing it, you know, because I always put it in a funny way. So every once in a while, when we were just reminiscing, she'd go, "Tell me the goose story again." All right, there's the prelude to what I'm leading up to. So me and Vicky, my ex, went out to. Now this is a junior experience. Keep that in mind, from my first family. And anyway, so we were out there one time and just reminiscing. There was not much going on that day, as far as vocalizations or seeing them or nothing like that. And so I'm sitting there, and she goes, "Won't you tell your goose story again?" And I'm like, "Okay." And I love telling the goose story, I just went through part of it with y'all. But when I used to go over Granny's, when I tell you that she's an empath and all of her families loved her, I went over there and she'd be sitting on the porch, and she would have a turkey in her lap, a goose, that stupid goose. Yes, that stupid goose would be in her lap, and chickens in her lap. She even got a peacock in her lap one time. Yeah, that's how good she was with her animals, But anyway, so back to this. Me and Vicky, we were sitting out by the creek one day at the gifting spot. And she goes, and of course, I've told y'all before, we don't whisper or none of that stupid crap. And I ain't gonna ramble about that again, but we just were ourselves. We didn't whisper, we didn't tiptoe around or anything like that. I just think that's stupid because they already know you're there anyway. That's just, I don't know. Don't get me started on that. But anyway, so I told the story. Oh no, and then I heard him. It was Junior. He listened to the whole dadgum story. And I'm like, oh no. I said, "Junior, I already knew it." I said, "Junior, don't you do it." Because I knew what he was going to do. The little jokester. I call him a little jokester. He's almost 13 foot tall, but, so he giggled a little bit and grunts. And I said, "Junior, don't do it. Don't do that. Please don't do it." So we left, and that's the only thing that happened that day, by the way, is hearing Junior giggle a little bit and grunt. And so we went home and we decided to go out the next day. So we were sitting at the gifting spot, and we took them some bread and checked on the bread that we left them before, and they took that bread, and I collected another bread sack, and I had a bunch of those. I've already talked about that before, but until Vicky wanted me to get rid of them all. But anyway, we were sitting there and just talking again, and oh no, I went over to check on the actual gifting spot, which was about, I don't know, 20 feet away, and took them the bread, and yep, he done it. I knew it. I knew he was going to do it. When I told him not to do it, I knew it. There was a stupid goose right there at the gifting spot. And then I looked across the creek, and there's Junior, just right out in the open. And he just started pointing and laughing at me. I said, "Oh my gosh." I said, "Junior, good grief, man. When are you ever going to quit doing that crap to me?" I said, "But at least you didn't do nothing where I'd fall this time, though." But anyway, I laughed back. It was funny. I mean, yeah. So don't tell me they can't understand English. That's a bunch of bull. They can understand English just as well as you and me can. I promise you that. If they've been around you long enough or any amount of time, they understand English. They really do. And you can talk to them in English. And I tell everybody. There was this one guy the other day, I was reading on one of the forums, a guy posted there, and And anyway, he was like, I've got this Bigfoot. And matter of fact, he's from Arkansas. And I can't remember what part of Arkansas he was, but he was having problems with this Bigfoot, and he was talking about, he was getting in his garden and tearing his fences down and stuff like that. And he was like, how do I get rid of this problem? And everybody was telling him this and that and some really stupid ways to get rid of. And I'm like, that ain't none of that crap's going to work. What are y'all talking? I said, just go out to the wood line, stand in front of your garden. And I said, talk to them, ask them, tell them that that's doing damage to your property and what you eat. And that's what feeds you. Tell them, because just tell them in English. They can understand this. And anyway, he never did answer me back. I guess he thought I was stupid. I guess. I don't know. But yeah, he can do what he wants. But just go out and talk to them and ask them to leave it alone. They can understand that, and just say it in a nice way. He said, well, I did. Or he answered another guy. He said, well, I did scream at him a couple of times. And well, that's not going to do anything. You're out there screaming at them. Okay. All right. Well, anyway, that's how, I don't know, stupid people can be. They don't understand. They just, and most of them won't ever understand. I don't know. But anyway, but there's the goose one and another little tidbit thrown in there. I don't know. What am I going to ramble about next? All right. Now, here's what happened first. I'm going to go over the Dogman experience. Now, this is a Bigfoot / Dogman experience. This is happening with my number 2 right here at the house where I talked to him back on the fence line back here, real close. So this is a Bigfoot / Dogman experience. It involves Jeju, his brother, which I haven't given him a nickname yet because I keep wanting to ask Jeju his real name, or I was going to ask him his real name because he is starting to come closer to me now. At first, he wouldn't get real close at all. I could see him a little bit, but he wouldn't get, but he's getting closer every time. His brother is. But anyway, so see, there I went rambling again. But he's coming closer, and that's a good thing. So I'm going to go over the Dogman experience. And so leading up to the Dogman experience, now y'all got to understand, I have been, I don't know if y'all know what this is, but a Dogman will zap you. And you ask what zap means. They put out this electronic, whatever it is, I don't know, vibrations or whatever. And what it does to you when they zap you is you'll know because you immediately get a horrible headache. A horrible headache. You start sweating profusely, and you start shaking. You lose your strength. It's horrible. You get sick at your stomach. I mean, all at one time, and it only takes about 2 seconds for it to take effect. And I've done that way 4 different times from Dogman, but I've never seen a Dogman up until this experience that I'm fixing to get into. So you can imagine my hate for the Dogman. I don't like Dogman. He don't like me. I hate the Dogman, and he hates me for some reason. I don't know. He just hates me. But any Dogman hates me. 4 zappings. Anyway, so leading up to this event, when I first moved in with my brother, I think it was a couple of weeks later, I first met Jeju. I've told about that before, I believe. And anyway, right after that, I can't remember how long right after that. I don't write stuff down. Y'all know that. It's off the top of my head. And anyway, I was standing out there, and the Bigfoot family, JJ wasn't around, and he was the only one I knew at the time was him. But I'd met him a few times, and then I got zapped, and I knew exactly where it was from. And I was like, my brother had told me there had been a Dogman that hung around before, but he thought he might have been gone. But, well, he wasn't gone. And I knew exactly what I got zapped from, because I know that feeling. It sucks, believe me. And sometimes that zapping can last up to 2 or 3 days. I was in bed for 3 days one time after I got zapped. You can't eat nothing. I mean, it sucks. And yeah, it sucks. But anyway, so I got zapped, and I was like, oh no, we got a Dogman here. So I said, me and JJ's going to have a serious talk. So I think it was the next day or two, I went out and sat back by the fence, and I was trying to get JJ to come to me, and he didn't show up that day. I was trying to call him over there so I could talk to him about this Dogman experience that I got zapped, and he showed up the next day, and I hear the rustling in the woods, and I was mad at him. I was out there just playing on my cell phone, and he come up, and I didn't even look at him. I didn't want to look at him. I was mad. I wanted him to know I was mad. And anyway, so I sat there. I didn't even look over that way. I said, hey, JJ, what's going on? I didn't even say brother. I said, what's going on? He goes, I come to see you. I said, well, why didn't you come and see me yesterday when I asked for you to come see me? I said, did you not know I was asking for you? And he was like, yeah. I said, well, what were you doing? He goes, well, I was helping my daddy all day long. He was doing something, helping his daddy. And I'm like, well, that's fine. I said, I know that you already know that there's a Dogman here. He goes, I said, and I don't like him. I hate him, JJ. He goes, we don't like him either. I said, well, why is he around here then? He goes, when we go get him, he just kind of somehow disappeared. And I'm like, well, he goes, I'm sorry that happened to you. He actually apologized. I said, well, JJ, I can't do nothing about him. I ain't got the power to do that. I said, besides, he hates me and I hate him. There's no love lost there. And anyway, so I say, JJ, we're going to have to do something about this. I said, you're the only one, you and your family is the only one that can protect me from him, And he goes, well, I'm sorry that happened to you. And he promised me it wouldn't happen again. So I'm like, thank you. And so, all right, we're getting closer to the event. And now in the week leading up to the actual Dogman experience, the one where I seen him, and this is the only time I've ever seen a Dogman, is this experience I'm talking about right now. During the week up to the actual experience is, I'd go out at night and I smoke cigarette. I smoke like a half a cigarette or, sometimes a full one, because I got weird sleep habits. Sometimes I get up at 1 or 2 in the morning. I can't go back to sleep. So I get up, go outside, smoke a cigarette or whatever. And I like going outside in the middle of the night anyway, because, I get to hear the forest. You can hear the Bigfoot family at night a lot. You can hear coyotes running and all kinds of stuff out there. You can hear weird sounds. But a couple of days leading up to this experience, man, I heard all kinds of sounds out there, like things not getting along kind of sounds. And I couldn't even explain those sounds to you if I had to, but it's nothing I've ever heard of before. And So that went on for like 2 nights straight. And then then the very next morning after that, I went out there. And usually, I mean, we have like an overabundance of birds. And I love that because I love listening to the birds, and the birds can tell you something too. I promise you that. I love listening to the birds talk back and forth to each other and stuff. But anyway, I went out there and nice day, nice morning. And anyway, there was no birds. And I'm like, what? Now this is unusual. No birds at all. So I'm like, well, I must have just got out here when they first shut up then. I mean, there wasn't even a bird in sight, not even in sight. You couldn't hear nothing. I mean, I was like, well, I should hear some crows because usually when the birds get quiet like that, that means Jeju's fixing to show up or one of the families fixing to show up. And usually the next thing that happens is I hear the crows. So I, and here's Jeju's crows. Now, crows introduce family number 1 and family number 2. They always have for some reason. They always use crows, and I know that's when they're on their way or they're close by anyway. And they all have different number increments as far as their calls go. Like Junior, for instance, his was 3. His number was 3. They'd call 3 times. It'd be a little space in there. Call 3 times, a little space, call 3 times, and then another little space. And then he was almost there, and then they'd show up. That's how that goes. Now, Jeju, his is 4 crow calls. That's his number. So they do it in increments. 4, silence, 4, silence, 4, silence, 4. You get the gist of it anyway, if that makes any sense. Sometimes I make sense, sometimes I don't. But anyway, sometimes my stuff sounds like gibberish. That's probably what Jeju says to me. He calls my talking gibberish. But anyway, this morning, so there was no crow calls though. So I walked out by the fence, and when I got there was a limb, a pretty big limb that was thrown like a dart, and it landed about 3 foot in front of me. And I'm like, what the heck is going on here? And I didn't know what was going on. And I was thinking to myself, now, I mean, they've thrown little rocks at me, just playing. That's how they let you know they're there too, or they do me. Like Junior loves to, like in the first family, the gifting spot there's by a creek, so they always threw rocks in the water to let us know they're there, all of that family did. But I ain't by a creek here. Well, the creek, it's a ways back a little bit. It's not real far away, but anyway, so he throws and I look over there, and Jeju's like got this mean look on his face. He goes, and he waved at me like, get away. He goes, go now. And I'm like, what is really going on here? He goes, go. And I stood there and others. He goes, go. I was like, okay, he means it. And then I stayed there, and, I'm stubborn. I want to see, what's going on. So I look over at that time, and Jeju takes off towards him, and there's a stupid Dogman. I was like, oh, no. No wonder he's telling me to go. He's trying to protect me from that stupid thing. So I seen the Dogman, and he was about as big as Jeju. He was as tall as Jeju. He wasn't like as big, like muscular wise, but he was pretty big. And anyway, I ran back to the porch, and I should have went in that house, but no, not me. Never me. So I'm looking out there, and they went out of sight. I couldn't see them no more. I couldn't see Jeju, but I did see his brother. His brother came in after that, and then I heard them, like, I guess they were going at it. There was all kinds of sounds. I guess they were fighting, and then this brother joined in on it. And then I heard something from the left, and it was huge. I mean, big footsteps coming, and out he come. And he didn't even see me, because that wasn't what he was focusing on. That was Jeju's daddy. First time I ever got to see him. His name is Jory, and here he comes, Jory. I assumed it was Jory at the time, because he looks to be the alpha to me, and he turned out to be. He was, but he's not quite as big as the alpha in family number one, but he's close. He's like 13 and a half foot tall. Now, the one in the first family, he's 14 foot tall, or a little bit over, maybe. But anyway, he comes, I mean, not running per se, but quickly walking. And they were about 75 yards away, I guess, but I couldn't see them. I mean, the foliage is just too thick out there. After they went that way, I couldn't see them no more. But I heard them, and there was yelping, there was screams, I can't explain any all the sounds. There's no way I could explain it. You just had to heard it yourself. And anyway, I guess they killed him, and I'm glad they did. And if y'all think I'm bad for saying that, so be it. I hope they did kill him. I hate Dogman. I do. But especially one like that. A good Dogman wouldn't zap you. I mean, that's just a fact of life. So he needed to go. And I just assumed they'd killed him. And I guess they did. Jeju told me they did. And so I went out the next day over that way through the daggum sawbriars and crap. That stuff is thick, man. Anyway, that's why I never hardly go out there too much, especially in the summertime, because of the sawbriars, and it's just too thick to go through some of it. And I found the spot where they were at and fighting. There was trees knocked over. There was limbs everywhere, torn off other trees, and just, you could just tell there was a scuffle that went on there, in other words. So, oh my gosh. So that was actually a good experience, because I got rid of the Dogman, and I actually seen one, and I didn't get zapped. How about that? So I'll take it. I'll take that experience any day of the week. And of course, when I went out there the next day, I knew I wasn't going to find a body. They weren't going to leave a Dogman body out there. I mean, obviously, I don't know where they took him to. I didn't ask. I don't care where they took him to. Just let him be. But anyway, I've got to talk about this next experience. This is probably number one or two. There's no doubt about that. The only one that could rival this one I'm fixing to tell you about was when I seen Sissy nursing Archie. But I didn't. Well, you can rate them. I've already told you about me seeing. Now, that's very unusual. I doubt anybody. I've never seen anybody else talk about a Bigfoot nursing their son. You know, I might be the only one in the world. I doubt I'm the only one. I've just never heard of another one. But that was very unique, is what I'm trying to say. Not many people gets to experience that. So that's got to be one or two. But this one, I'll let you listen to it, and you can rate them. I can't figure out which one's number one to me. But anyway, yeah, I got to thinking about that. And I told you, that's dangerous for me. Thinking's always dangerous for me. So I get out there one day, and I'm sitting in my spot. You know, it was a pretty day. It was kind of close to dusky dark, I guess, something like that. Jeju likes that time a lot to come see me for some reason, especially in the summertime, because it gets a little bit cooler, and that's when I'm usually sitting out there. You know, and I'm sipping on my beer as I always do. I was just playing on my phone, And anyway, I heard some rustling off in the woods there, and the crows came over. So I knew who it was in increments of 4, as I told you, and I knew who it was. And I heard some more rustling. And this is quite a ways away, though. And then they'd stop. Kind of unusual for him. And then I'd hear it again, and it'd stop. Then I'd hear it again, it'd stop, and so forth. He wasn't getting much closer to me, is what I'm trying to say. And anyway, and that was kind of unusual for him because he's never done that before. And he finally, and I kept looking over to the right because that's where the sound was coming from. And that's the way he always comes from. And the crows will tell you that too. They'll fly in from whichever way that whichever one's coming. You know, that they'll fly in from the way that like Jeju, for instance, or Junior, for instance, would be coming in. So anyway, the crows got done doing their thing. And I look over there, and he finally gets close enough so I can see him. So I yelled out, well, not yell, but I said, "Hey, Jeju," kind of like a stronger, just voice, regular voice. I said, "Hey, Jeju, what are you doing?" And he didn't answer me. And then I guess he was waiting for JC. JC was with him, his sister. If you remember her, she's his sister, about 6 foot tall. Of course, Jeju, if y'all, I didn't say that today, I don't think, but he's about 8 foot tall. He's a juvenile. But anyway, him and JC standing there. I said, "What are y'all doing? Why are y'all acting like this?" I said, "Usually y'all just walk on up to the 2 trees." And I already told you about the 2 trees they usually stand by. And anyway, so here they, and I was like, "Why don't y'all come on up here like you usually do?" I said, "What?" Man, I was like, I was thinking in my head, this is kind of weird. This is really weird. They're not acting like they normally act. So they come on up finally, slowly. Now here's where it gets good. Now, usually they stop at the 2 trees. Both of them do. Usually June or Jeju on my left, the way I'm looking anyway, his right, and JC's on my right. She's on his left side. That's how they always stand. Is there a reason for that? I don't know, but that's just the way it's always worked out. So I figure there's a reason for it, or could it be coincidence? Heck, I don't know. There's a lot of things I don't know. But anyway, but this particular time, Jeju keeps on walking. And I'm like, uh-oh, I got about 5 seconds to figure out what I'm going to do. He's walking. I mean, he's about 15 foot from me, and he didn't stop walking. So I'm thinking, and I got butterflies all in my stomach. Not bad butterflies, good butterflies. Real good butterflies. Not scared, but just like, this has never happened before. An adrenaline rush. But also thinking, what am I supposed to do? I don't even know. And so the only thing I could think of to do was reach out my arm and try to shake his hand. I don't know. What is that the correct thing to do? I don't know. So, yeah, I thought about all of this in like 5 seconds. So I reached my hand out, and he grabbed my hand, and he pulled me closer to him, and he gave me a hug. And I'm like, whoa. I sit down. I said, Jeju, don't squeeze too hard. I said, I'm a little guy. I said, you'll break me in half. He goes, oh, and he gave me the hug. And then I said, what did you do that for? Why'd you give me a hug, Jeju? And he goes, hold on. And I said, okay. And he backs up about 5 foot or so. And then here comes JC. She gives me a hug. And I was like, well, hey, JC. And she finally talked for once. she kind of grunted. She smiled at me more than anything, and she just gave me this big old smile. And Jeju's back there. And I said, okay, Jeju, why did y'all come hug me? I got to know. He goes, that was to welcome you to the family. I was like, really? And I calmed back down, and I was like, wow, really? I said, man, that's an honor, man. I said, you don't know how big of an honor that is. I said, to officially be a part of the family. I said, that's very special to me, Jeju. And he was like, well, we're glad to have you. And he goes, I knew you'd be proud. And I was like, I am. I said, you really don't know how much of an honor this is to me. This is really something. And when I talk about this, most of the time they mind speak to me, as this experience was, because I left that little part out. I forgot, but he knows my name. When he come up and shook my hand and hugged me, I said, hey, Jeju. And he goes, hey, Kenny, mind speaking to me. They speak broken English as well, but most of the time they mind speak to me. It's the easiest way of communication. It really is. And anyway, we got to just talking there, just small talk then. And he goes, now you get to meet the rest of the family. And I'm like, huh? Because the first thing that went through my mind when he said that was, is the whole family just right out there and I can't see them yet? And are they all going to come up at once? I was like, oh no. That would have been something. And I said, are they all out there right now? And he goes, no. And then I said, well, when do I get to meet them? And he said, soon. When you ask them a question of like a timing thing, a lot of times they just say soon. And I've also noticed when they say soon, it could be like the next day. It could be at the end of a later part of the same day, or it could be a week from then, so, but there was talking and mind speaking in between there. And, that's, so y'all judge. Go back and listen to my sissy experience. And then where I seen her nursing Archie to this experience where I actually got to hug them. Now, which one's the number one experience? I don't know. I'm kind of anxious to see y'all in the comments when y'all get to hear this, which one y'all rank up there as first and second. I mean, I really am, because those are top two without a doubt. And, well, there's one more, but I'm going to tell you, when he told me I was going to meet the rest of the family, it'd be a good way to start off the next one, if Vic will have me back on anyway. So, anyway, it's going to be meeting his daddy, Jory, the alpha male. That was the first one he brought to meet me. And I figured that would be the first one because he's the alpha male. He's the one that actually had to approve of me being officially part of the family. So, but anyway, with that, I look forward to sharing that experience next time. And y'all, I never run out of material. I'm telling you, I could talk probably 24 or more hours straight and I wouldn't go over the same experience twice. And that's just a fact. But I enjoy talking with y'all. I always do. Y'all please comment, ask as many questions as you want. I'll go over them in the next podcast or the next show if he'll have me back on. And y'all tell me if you want me back on. That's great. I love doing it. I love that y'all listen to it. And I love that y'all enjoy it. So anyway, before I go, you know what I always say before I go. You don't find Bigfoot, Bigfoot finds you. See y'all next time. Y'all have a great day.
Well, Well, that's it for tonight's show. If you've had a Bigfoot sighting and would like to be a guest, please go to mybigfootsighting.com and let us know. Thanks for listening. Have a great night.
Seen a bunch of rundown no-horse towns where the church is the backbone, loves in the plow, and the five-string melodies grooving, with the farmland rows where the roots run deep, beyond the noise of the busy streets, where the songs of the South are soothing. When I hear the front porch picking down, home rhythm ringing out, I don't run from banjo music. Yeah, the sound of a memory brings me back to the bluegrass playing on my dad's 8-track. His pickup man had been through it, getting through the day on Scruggs and Skags, bucking hay bales to those Tennessee jams. There's no other way that I'd do it. When I hear the front porch picking down, home rhythm ringing out, I don't run from banjo music. Yeah. Something going backwards in double time, getting to the soul and the tremolo Kentucky style. Those are the anthems strumming out, country boy living. When I hear the front porch picking down, home rhythm ringing out, I don't run from banjo music. Pace of the city life drives me wild. The only tune is the cars rushing by, with the bass on the stereos booming. When I hear the front porch picking down, home rhythm ringing out, I don't run from banjo music. Yeah. Something going backwards in double time, getting to the soul and the tremolo Kentucky style. Those are the anthems strumming out, country boy living. When I hear the front porch picking down, home rhythm ringing out, I don't run from banjo music. Something going backwards in double time, getting to the soul and the tremolo Kentucky style. Those are the anthems strumming out, country boy living. When I hear the front porch picking down, home rhythm, fried chicken, porch swing, mama's best sweet tea kind of sound.